The United States and the United Kingdom, leading a large coalition aimed at ensuring the safety of navigation in the Red Sea, they have launched missile strikes on targets in Yemen, which is controlled by the Houthi movement and supported by Iran. And in Washington, it was emphasized that the strikes could be repeated if the Houthis do not cease their attempts to harm international navigation in the Red Sea. The fact of the missile strikes, it demonstrates that coalition that was formed in December to counter Houthi attacks in the Red Sea, this coalition is unable to cope with the constant attacks on ships in this crucial basin for the global economy. Although almost all the incoming targets are being destroyed and practically nothing reaches the ships, it is well understood that just one successful hit could lead to a genuine ecological catastrophe, because various types of ships, not only oil ships but those including carrying radioactive cargo, are passing through the Red Sea, and also coalition spends billions to counter weapons that in turn cost only thousands, because Houthis typically use cheap missiles and cheap drones. So the question arises whether the attack by the United States and the United Kingdom will deter the Houthis from attacking ships further, and the answer is most probably not, because their leaders have already emphasized that the fight will continue and they will target ships associated with Israel. It means any ships they like to target, they seem attractive targets. The only ones they do not attack are ships associated with Iran, and of course the so-called Grey Fleet or Shadow Fleet, which is actually the fleet of the Russian Federation. And so it is not surprising that both Moscow and Tehran condemned the American-British attack. It was expected. Houthis, because the proxy army of Iran, and Iran is in close allied relations with the Russian Federation. Their aim is to destabilize the situation globally and in the Middle East as well. Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, it is known that they waged war against the Houthis rebel in Yemen since 2015, and at that time they hoped that the war would end within a few weeks, but the conflict persisted for almost a decade, and formally it was concluded by a ceasefire agreement only in 2022. And during this period, Houthis maintained their position in Yemen, and they are still claiming that they would like to have a control over the whole state, and which effectively lost any unified leadership. And the Houthis have long dreamed of war with the United States, because from their ideological standpoint, the United States and Israel are their main enemies, and Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, they are just, from their standpoint, mere proxies for Washington. Now, with this rebel movement, which serves as one of Iranian proxies, they have their, their moment. As we can see, Americans consider them seriously, and they are, and Houthis, from the perspective of Houthis, it is a good moment to continue the maritime jihad. And destroying Houthis without a ground operation, it seems extremely challenging today, because by and large the Houthis have become accustomed to war under constant bombardment, thanks to Saudi Arabian and United Arab Emirates attacks. Their military facilities and their missile production facilities may be underground, and their command points are protected from potential missile strikes. Houthis are indifferent to civilian casualties, and the value of human life in Yemen is even lower than that in the Gaza Strip. And also, Houthis are hoping for Iran's support, and Iran is in a unique situation. It does not care about the situation with Hamas in the Gaza Strip, seeing them as expendable for its own purposes. However, the Houthi rebels and the Lebanese Hezbollah, they are crucial for Iran because they help it to maintain control over the whole country. And in this situation, Iran may take certain measures to stop Western attacks on Yemen, such as detaining ships in the Middle East region, as we see already with American ship yesterday. And so, in conclusion, after the American and British attack, the situation has not become simpler or safer. If the Houthis do not cease their attacks, Washington will be forced to consider new missile strikes and a ground operation. And the question remains about the reaction of Iran and Russia. And I would say that world is now on the brink of the major regional war for security in the Red Sea, and its consequences can be much bigger than those of the war in Ukraine and the Israeli operation against Hamas in the Gaza Strip. Because the results for the global economy, if this war starts, will far exceed what we have observed so far, as the Red Sea is a crucial route for global shipping. The interruption of navigation in this region threatens a new devastating crisis in the economies of many countries worldwide, and increasing energy prices and diminishing the possibilities of the global economy, especially before the US presidential elections. And all this aligns with the strategic plans of Russian President Vladimir Putin, Iranian Supreme Leader Khamenei, and Chinese President Xi Jinping. With each such attack and confrontation, the world is moving closer to a third world war, which may become a war in many regions of the modern world, but not necessarily it will escalate to a direct military confrontation between nuclear states. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day. Slava Ukraini!